Original post: My sister is severely autistic and I hate her for turning my life into a living nightmare. I know how this sounds. Believe me, I do. I've rewritten this post so many times trying to make it sound less awful, but I think I need to stop sugarcoating it. I'm 22. My younger sister is 16, and she's severely autistic. Nonverbal, prone to meltdowns, needs round-the-clock care, and functions on the level of a toddler most days. She has violent outbursts, pulling hair, biting, screaming. And I'm not exaggerating when I say she has consumed my entire life. I never hated her when we were kids. I didn't understand why she got so much more attention, or why I had to be quiet all the time. But as I got older, I started to realize that my life wasn't mine anymore. Everything revolved around her. Her birthdays were never about me. I never got a proper party because she couldn't handle loud noises or new people. I couldn't have sleepovers because she'd have meltdowns in the middle of the night. Family vacations? Almost always cancelled last minute. The few times we did go anywhere, it was to some sensory-friendly resort or special needs camp, and I was expected to help watch her the entire time. I had to grow up so fast. I was changing diapers at 9 years old. By the time I was 12, my parents were calling me their second set of hands. At 15, I knew how to de-escalate her episodes better than most of the professionals we'd cycle through. I missed dances, field trips, even my high school graduation party because someone had to be home with her, and the worst part? I never got to complain. Ever. If I so much as sighed when my parents asked me to cancel plans and help with my sister, I was called selfish. She didn't choose to be this way, my mom would say. You're the normal one. Be grateful. Grateful? I'm grateful I didn't end up like her. But what about being allowed to live my own life? What about having friends who don't ditch me because I can never go out? Or going to college out of state, like I always dreamed, but had to give up? Because my parents needed me close by, just in case something happened? What about the fact that I haven't been a child since I was 8 years old? I love my sister. I do. She's innocent. She didn't ask for any of this. But I also hate her. I hate what her existence has done to mine. I hate that I was robbed of a normal childhood. I hate that even now, I can't plan a weekend away without my parents guilt-tripping me about how they never get a break. They don't. I know they're exhausted too. But they chose to have a second kid after her diagnosis was already a possibility. I didn't choose this. I was just born first. I've never told anyone this. Not my friends, the few I still talk to, not a therapist. God knows I probably need one. But lately, I've been feeling so bitter and angry I don't know what to do with it. So here I am, telling strangers on Reddit. Sometimes I fantasize about running away. Like just packing a bag and disappearing to a city where no one knows me. I dream about sleeping through the night without screaming in the next room. About having a partner who doesn't eventually leave me because I'm too emotionally unavailable or always prioritizing family drama. But then I feel this crushing guilt, like I'm the worst human being alive. What kind of person hates their disabled sibling? I don't want her to suffer. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. But I don't want her life to be my life anymore. And the thought that when my parents are gone, everyone's going to expect me to step in as her full-time caregiver? That's the part that keeps me awake at night. I don't want that. I can't do it. I'll break. I've read some stuff online about caregiver burnout and siblings of special needs children, and it hit me harder than I expected. It felt like finally someone put words to what I've been holding in for years, but it also made me realize how invisible people like me are. The healthy sibling. The one who gets straight A's, never causes problems, always says it's fine even when it's absolutely not. The one everyone assumes will just be okay, even when we're screaming inside. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to hate her. But right now, I do, and I'm scared that if I don't let this out somewhere, I'll explode. I don't know how to fix this, or even if I can. I just needed to say it out loud, even if anonymously. So yeah. I hate my sister for what she's done to my life. But I also love her. And I don't know what the hell to do with that. Does this make me a monster? Update 1. I said I hated my severely autistic sister. The internet didn't hold back, and neither did I. First off, I didn't expect my original post to blow up the way it did. I posted it at 2 a.m. in a moment of frustration and sadness, and I almost deleted it an hour later out of shame, but then the responses started rolling in. Hundreds of them. Thousands, even. And they were overwhelming. Some people were kind. Too kind. They said things like, "Thank you for saying what I never could," or "You're not a monster, you're a human being." Some shared their own experiences as siblings of children with severe disabilities, and it was the first time I didn't feel like I was screaming into the void. For a moment, I felt seen, heard, validated. But others? Not so kind. I was called a monster, a narcissist, selfish, ableist. How could you hate someone who can't even help how they are? One person wrote, You should be ashamed of yourself. Another said they hoped I never had kids. That stung more than I expected. The backlash made me question everything again. Maybe they were right. Maybe I am a horrible person. But then, I started going back through the supportive comments. I reread the ones from people who said they'd lived through the same thing. And a part of me, a really broken, tired, hidden part of me, started whispering, "You're not alone. You're not wrong to feel what you feel." After that post, I did something I've put off for years. I made an appointment with a therapist. I went in with zero expectations. I was terrified she'd say the same things my parents always did: "You're the healthy one. Be grateful. She's the one suffering." But instead, after I nervously gave her the rundown of my life, she just looked at me and said, "You've experienced long-term caregiver trauma and what we sometimes refer to as lost childhood syndrome." I swear, I almost burst into tears. Right there, that was the moment it hit me. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't overreacting. I was a kid who got forced into an adult role before I was even old enough to spell the word autism. Since then, therapy has opened up this floodgate I didn't even know was locked. I've started remembering all the small moments. That didn't seem like much at the time but now feel like turning points, like the time I was 10 years old, practicing for my school play. I was supposed to be a tree, lol, and it meant more to me than anything else that year. My mom promised she'd come. I'd been rehearsing lines in the mirror for weeks. But on the day of the performance, my sister had one of her meltdowns. Screaming, headbanging, biting. My mom called the school 5 minutes before curtain and said, "We can't come. Sorry." I performed anyway. Alone. Looking out into an audience full of smiling parents and seeing nothing but an empty seat in the middle row. Or the time I was 14, and the boy I had a crush on came over to study. I was so nervous. I'd cleaned my room, worn my nicest hoodie, even put on lip gloss. But while we were sitting at the kitchen table, my sister walked in and, God, I can't believe I'm even writing this, smeared feces on the wall. Just out of nowhere. He left. He never talked to me again. I became the girl with the weird sister who throws poop. People laughed. I cried. My mom said, "You think you had a bad day? Imagine what it's like being her." I wanted to scream. Growing up, I didn't have my own identity. I wasn't me. I was always her sister. The big sister of the disabled girl. That's how teachers referred to me. That's what neighbors knew me as. I didn't get to be funny, or shy, or artsy, or athletic. I was just responsible. Reliable. The helper. The one who didn't need help, but I did. I do, and here's the part I'm struggling with the most: I still love her. She's not some monster. She's not the villain of my life. She's just a girl with a broken brain, trying to survive in a world that doesn't understand her. It's not her fault, but it's not mine either, and that's what I'm starting to learn. Therapy has taught me this radical idea: two truths can exist at the same time. I can mourn the childhood I never had and love my sister. I can be angry at the way she's impacted my life and want her to be okay. I can feel resentment and compassion at the same time. That blew my mind. Why parents still don't get it. I tried talking to them last week, after my second therapy session. I told them I felt like I lost something growing up, like I never got to just be a kid. That I felt pressure to be a third parent. They looked at me like I'd slapped them. My dad said, "You think this has been easy for us?" And my mom said it again, "You're the normal one. Be grateful." There it was. That sentence again. The one that makes my blood boil. But this time, something felt different. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just nodded and said, "I'm working on it," and walked away, because now, I know they don't have to understand for my feelings to be real. I don't need their permission to heal. I'm still angry. I'm still tired. I still cry more than I'd like to admit. And I still feel waves of guilt that crush me out of nowhere, but for the first time in my life, I also feel something else. Hope that maybe one day, I'll learn how to carry this pain without it swallowing me whole. Hope that I can build a life where I am more than just someone's sister. Hope that I'm not a monster. Update 2. I told my parents I'm choosing myself over my autistic sister, and everything exploded since my last post. I've been going to therapy weekly. And something my therapist said early on has stuck in my head like a splinter: you can't heal in the same environment that's hurting you. I brushed it off at first. Told myself, this is just life. This is just my role. Things aren't that bad. But that wasn't true. Things were that bad. I just didn't want to admit it, because admitting it meant doing something terrifying, changing. So, I started small. I told my parents I wouldn't be watching my sister on Friday night because I had therapy and needed time afterward to decompress. The look on my mom's face: "You'd think I told her I was abandoning a child on the freeway. She's had a tough week," she said. "You know she calms down better with you." "I know," I said. "But I'm exhausted too. Just this once, please." My dad didn't say anything. Just gave me that silent, disappointed stare that says more than words ever could. They did. It without me, barely. When I came home the next morning, the house looked like a war zone, and Mom was visibly shaking. She didn't say it, but I could see the accusation in her eyes. This is what happens when you're not here. A week later, I told them I'd applied for a job in another city, 2 hours away. It wasn't even a done deal yet. I was just exploring. But I felt like I'd dropped a bomb. You're moving out? My mom asked. I might, I said. I'm 22. I want to start building my life. What about your sister? Her voice cracked when she said it. She has 2 parents, I said. I've already given you my childhood. I deserve adulthood. That's when the yelling started. My mom sobbed and screamed about betrayal, abandonment. How could you, and what kind of sister just walks away? My dad didn't yell, but his voice went cold. We thought we raised someone with compassion. He said, that one hurt the most. They made it clear, if I left, I wasn't just moving out, I was abandoning them. The family. My duty. I spent the next few days questioning everything. Am I selfish? If I leave, who will care for her when they're old? What if something happens to her while I'm gone? But another voice, quieter, but stronger every day, whispered something else. If you stay, you'll disappear. You'll die by inches, just like you have been for years. That voice wouldn't shut up. Then the breaking point came. It was a Thursday night. My parents went out to a dinner with family. Friends. I was home alone with my sister. She had a meltdown. She slammed her head against the wall, knocked over a chair, and started shrieking, one of those piercing, guttural screams that makes your ears ring. I did what I always do, stayed calm, tried to redirect her, put on her sensory music, offered soft objects, but she was gone, unreachable. She threw a book across the room. It hit my shoulder. Then she lunged at me and bit my arm, hard. I screamed, not just from the pain but from shock, and then, for the first time in years, I snapped. I screamed back. Not words, just this guttural, broken, angry noise that came from someplace deep. I shoved her off me and ran to lock myself in the bathroom. My heart was pounding. My arm was bleeding. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. Her eyes were wild. Her lips were trembling. Her soul looked cracked. I ended up in urgent care with a sprained wrist and a bruised shoulder. My bite mark didn't break skin badly, but it left a deep bruise. My parents were horrified, at first for me, then quickly for themselves. I told you not to leave us alone, my mom cried. I wasn't safe, I said. She didn't mean it. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. We didn't talk much after that point. 2 days later, I packed a bag and left. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have a lease. I just texted a friend, someone who'd quietly offered her couch if I ever needed it, and said, is it still okay? She said yes. I left a note that said, I love you all, but I can't do this anymore. I need to save myself. I stayed on that couch for 3 weeks. During that time, I slept through the night for the first time in what felt like years. I ate without being interrupted. I sat on the porch and stared at the trees for no reason at all. I didn't have to wear headphones to drown out screaming. I didn't have to be on call. I didn't have to cancel plans last minute or apologize for someone else's behavior. I was just me, and I didn't realize how badly I needed that until it happened. Eventually, I found a cheap studio apartment in the city. It's tiny and old and smells like dust, but it's mine. I started taking art classes at a community center nearby. I've been sketching and painting again. I go for walks. I started dating, just casually, but it feels good to explore who I am outside the lens of trauma. My therapist says I'm still in survival mode, but she's proud of me. So am I. My parents haven't fully forgiven me. At first, they barely spoke to me, just angry texts and silent missed calls. You abandoned us. You let your sister down. How can you live with yourself? Then, last week, my dad emailed me a single sentence, we're hiring part-time help. That's it. No apology. No acknowledgement of everything I've been through. But it's something, and honestly, I'm not holding my breath. They've spent 16 years expecting me to be something I never should have been. A third parent, a therapist, a punching bag, a martyr. I'm done with that. I still feel guilt. Some days, it hits like a tidal wave. I cry for no reason, then realize it's because I saw a girl with a disability at the grocery store and wondered if my sister's okay. I still love her. I always will. I want her to have the best care, the best chance at happiness, but I'm not going to burn myself alive to keep her warm anymore. You know the weirdest part? I'm starting to like myself again. For years, I only saw this bitter, angry, exhausted shell in the mirror. But now I see someone with potential. Someone who laughs, who dreams, who gets to be someone who finally feels real. Final update: 6 months later, loving my autistic sister without losing myself. It's been 6 months since I moved out. 6 months since I finally said, I'm choosing myself. Looking back, it feels like I left more than a house. I Left a lifetime of guilt, exhaustion, and resentment behind, therapy is now a regular part of my life. It's my safe space, a place where I'm allowed to be honest without fear of judgment. I'm also part of a support group for siblings of disabled children, and hearing other people's stories has helped me feel less alone. I'm learning that my experience isn't unique, but it is valid. My relationship with my parents is still fragile. We're not close like we used to be, but it's civil. We talk, but the conversations are cautious, careful, like walking on thin ice. I can tell they're still working through their own feelings about what I did, and what they expected from me. But things have improved since they hired professional care help for my sister. That alone has been a huge relief. I've started visiting my sister again, but on my terms. I tell my parents, I'll come for 2 hours on Sunday afternoons. But I'm not doing overnight shifts. They grumble, but they accept it. It's a small boundary, but it feels massive to me. When I'm with my sister, I've learned to love her without losing myself. I see her for who she is, not just a diagnosis or a burden, but a person with her own quirks and moments of joy. Sometimes she smiles when I enter the room. Sometimes she reaches out her hand, and I hold it. Those moments are precious. I've started college classes in the city, studying something I genuinely love, art therapy. I want to help people like my sister in the future, but I also want to help siblings who feel lost in the process. I'm finally carving out a life that's mine. The guilt hasn't vanished, it probably never will. I still have nights when I cry because I wonder if I'm doing enough, or if I'm a bad sister, but I'm working on forgiving myself. On healing from the role I was forced into. I don't hate my sister anymore. I love her, in my own way, from a healthier distance. I'm finally starting to understand that love doesn't have to mean sacrifice to the point of destruction. So here I am, 6 months later. I still have bad days. Days when the weight of my past feels crushing, but now they're my bad days, not the endless, exhausting caregiving nights I was trapped in for years, and I never had that before. Thank you to everyone who reached out, who listened, and who shared their stories. This community helped me find my voice, and for the first time, I feel like I'm not just surviving. I'm living.